Welcome back to Kriner's Kickers, a podcast where I talk about all things fantasy football. More specifically, where I talk all things about one particular ESPN fantasy football league that I have been in for the past 10 years, but never won. That's right, everyone. We're going behind the scenes this year of one of the most competitive fantasy football leagues of the last decade. We're talking about the one, the only, K-Ville Mafia. Make sure to be an all-star and smash mouth that like or subscribe button on whatever platform you are listening to. That's right, everyone. Try searching for Kriner's Kickers on Google, on the big G. As always, I am your host, Josh, and it is my pleasure to be in your speakers today. Now let's get into our weekly update. Actually, before we get into the nitty-gritty today, we need to talk about some serious news that rocked our fantasy league this past Thursday. Midway through the first quarter of the first game of the NFL season, the very first game, my father, Big Dog Joel, pointed out that the point system seems to be set up different this year than in the past. He claims quarterbacks used to get 6 points per touchdown throw versus the 4 points per touchdown throw they are currently getting. He also claimed that quarterbacks are getting less points for yardage than they used to. By halftime, Matt and Kyle also agreed with my dad that things appeared fishy, and we had a full-blown controversy on our hands. A controversy so large that the integrity of the entire season is potentially at stake. Now, as I am a certified journalist of high ethical code, just trust me, I'm in the guild. I signed the little notebook. I will not disclose my personal feelings in this case. Rather, I will just share with you all the facts, and then let you decide what is going down. Fact 1. Jeffrey is the commissioner of the K-Ville Mafia Football League. Fact 2. The commissioner is the only person in the league who would have the capability of changing the scoring system. Fact 3. Jeffrey won his game in week 1. Fact 4. Jeffrey's team has the second highest single season 1 week scoring record currently. Curious. But those are just the facts. Now, I should say, on that Thursday night in question, the mysterious Brian Smith did come to Jeffrey's defense in the league group chat, saying he does not believe Jeffrey changed the scoring at all, and that it has, paraphrasing here, been the same as it always has. But we don't even know who Brian Smith is. Are we supposed to trust this stranger? I think no. Oh, and Michael also did come to Jeffrey's defense, saying, and I quote, "I don't think anything has changed from before." End quote. Finally, a solid defense for Jeff. Until you consider a few things. Michael played Jeffrey this week. Why would Michael defend Jeffrey in this scoring controversy, especially after Jeffrey was clearly beating Michael that week in fantasy? Yes, why would Michael defend Jeffrey? Unless they have been in cahoots this whole time and playing this whole thing together. How deep does this go? Like I said, it is not my job to point fingers in this kind of situation. It is my job to find the truth. Time to ask the main suspect directly if he purposefully changed the scoring system for the league this year. That's right, everyone. I reached out to Jeffrey for comment. Jeffrey, you already know what I'm going to ask you here. A lot of people listening out there are dying to know. Did you purposely change the scoring system for the league this year? Jeffrey's answer. Keep in mind, this is a word for word text from Jeff. All right, here it is.
No, I didn't. The scoring system has been set to default the whole time I've managed the league. I would never want to win by cheating either, and I'm not playing this game. I can add or take away points from specific teams, but if I do, the whole league gets notified.
Sounds pretty convincing, right? I thought so. The case was closed. The chicken was fried, if you will. Nothing left to see here. Or so I thought. It was only hours after Jeffrey gave me his official response when Big Dog Joel dropped this bombshell in the fantasy group chat via voice message. Have a listen for yourself.
Just throwing this out there, but the league commissioner for many years also has the ability to activate and share the results from prior seasons, and probably should be willing to do that so that we can get past this controversy. I'm also concerned with Matt Mustard Tiger Miller, who, for some reason, may also be involved with this, has been hanging out with the commissioner, but also apparently, according to rumor, acquired the name Mustard Tiger for his team through an association with the Tiger King. More to come on that, but as we all know, Matt Miller did have a tendency to disappear for hours and days at a time, which could, be linked to some involvement with the Tiger King case.
Whoa. This situation just got a whole lot more complicated. The group chat lit up like a firecracker on the 4th of July. Matt immediately defended his name, pointing out that his team name of Mustard Tigers is a tribute to fictional character Philadelphia Collins from the popular Canadian comedy Trailer Park Boys. More importantly, he immediately turned on Jeff. Matt said in the group chat, and I'm quoting word for word from Matt's text, right here. Beginning now, begin quote. However, Jeff has told me in confidence that he rearranged the scoring system to benefit his team. You were spot on about that. End quote from Matt. Well, now who are we supposed to believe? How high up does this go? What's going on here? People were hungry for evidence. Many in the league simply requested Jeff to release the records from previous seasons to clear his name. Seems easy enough. Who knew that getting Jeff to do this would be like pulling teeth? Finally, after texts from many players in the league, including Kyle, Big Dog, and even Jason, who has made his first appearance of the fantasy football season. Hello, Jason. After they were all pleading for Jeffrey to release the Cable Mafia records, Commissioner Jeff finally relented and shared the league history. Well, kind of. Jeff showed only the records for the previous 2 seasons, 2018 and 2019. This, of course, did not fly with the league. This league is 10 years old. Where is the rest of the history? Why all the cover-ups, Jeff? Well, Jeff actually threw it back on none other than yours truly. Jeff claimed your favorite host, me, had the records for the previous years. A bold accusation, Jeff. Don't bite the hand that podcasts you. While it is true, I was the commissioner of the league for many years, and I was proud to serve in that role. I cannot currently have access to the league history because everyone knows ESPN does not have the records for any leagues older than 2018. So with that, I will credit Jeff with this. The rules have not changed at least in the past 3 years. But before that is anyone's guess at this point. We still don't know. Now this is obviously an ongoing situation, and I plan to keep you all posted as it unravels. For now, I will leave you with some questions to think about. Is Jeffrey the kind of person that is capable of changing these scores and not telling anyone? Is Michael perhaps involved with Jeff in all this? Is Matt secretly the Tiger King's biggest fan? I don't know. Unfortunately, we may never know the truth, as there are currently rumors of Matt and Jeff lawyering up to prepare their defenses. Yes, we may never know the truth about the scoring controversy of 2020, and how many fingers are involved in this proverbial pudding. We may never know. We may just have to adapt and adjust to the new normal, like we have learned to do with so many other facets of life in 2020. I don't know. But that's that. At least for now anyways. Let me know if you have any news or comments on the situation, but for now, let's get into our regular week-to-week news. Let's begin with the fun stuff. League awards. Woohoo! Yay! Awards! Let's do 3 awards this week. First award is a Traditional Player of the Week award. This goes to Devontae Adams from Drew's team, the Jordan Love Fan Club, who had a whopping 41 points in our PPR league. That's points per reception if you don't know. The second award is the Trust Your Gut award. This goes to the fantasy team who I think outperformed their ESPN projections by the widest margin. This award also goes to the Jordan Love Fan Club. You may recall ESPN picked them to finish last in the league after the draft. That prediction looks mighty silly after the fan club put up 150 points this past week. Finally, we have the Disappointment award, which will go to the team who just really sucked that week, for whatever reason. This week, that award goes to Team Carr. Better luck next week, Team Carr. The tunnel is often darkest before sunrise, or something like that. Now let's really dive in and analyze the results from last week. We'll also see how I did in my predictions. Let's check it out. First, let's go over my game. My team, the Kriner Kickers, were up against Travis and Team Carr. I had a steady week boosted by solid performances from Lamar Jackson and Alvin Kamara. This was more than enough to dispatch Team Carr, whose quarterback, running backs, and defense all really let him down. I picked myself to win this game. So far, so good. Next matchup, the Jordan Love fan club, who, like I said, ESPN considered the weakest team to start, came out swinging in Week 1 with a dominant victory over the Houston Astros. The Astros had a fine game, boosted by a good game from DeAndre Hopkins, but they were just merely no match for Davante Adams. For my prediction, I picked the Houston Astros to win. Next we have the Auto Draft Bowl. Team Naradka pulled off the W. Julio Jones looks like he can carry him to at least a few wins this season. Cole, on the other hand, seems to be throwing caution to the wind, starting an inactive Miles Sanders for the Eagles, as well as an inactive Cortland Sutton for the Broncos. For my prediction, I picked Team Eggleston to win. I probably won't make that mistake again. Next we have Team Terry versus Shake Baker. Team Terry won, suspiciously. Jeffrey has the second highest single season score immediately after he tampers with the scores. Team Shake and Baker really should probably rethink this whole Brown Super Team thing, because man, those guys are just plain awful. It is worth noting Team Terry does have some great receivers. For my prediction, I picked Team Shake and Baker to win. Yes, it gives me great pleasure to announce the results of this next one. Team Big Dog versus Mustard Tigers. Team Big Dog was quite confident after his Chiefs racked up over 50 points in the Thursday night game. However, it was the Mustard Tigers with the final laugh behind Russell Wilson's dominant performance. For my prediction, I picked the Mustard Tigers to win. And finally, our game of the week. Never forget, 28-3 defeated the Dolphin Dicks, and it was never really even close. Brian pulled out a big lead early behind huge performances by Aaron Rodgers and running back Josh Jacobs from the Las Vegas Raiders. Not even a big day from Christian McCaffrey could keep Brad's team, the Dolphin Dicks, close to competing in this one. Never forget, 28-3 ultimately beat the Dolphin Dicks by a score of 166.86 to 89.66. Ouch. For my prediction, I picked Never Forget 28-3 to win. With that first week out of the way, my prediction record stands at 3-3. If I pick you to win, well, based purely on historical stats, I guess it does not mean a whole lot. It's definitely a toss-up. Hopefully, I can improve upon that record as the season progresses. Now let's move on to a new segment that I am really jazzed about. Welcome to Josh's Watch List, where we discuss what players I think you and I should be watching over the coming weeks. Some of these will be obvious names, but I'm also trying to identify some deeper sleepers, some real hibernators, if you will, that you may want to stash for long-term success. So we're going position by position, so buckle up and let's find out who I'm watching this week. First, we have the field generals, the quarterbacks. First up, we have Jimmy Garoppolo. I singled Jimmy out because that 49ers defense did not look as crisp as it did a year ago. That could lead to more shootouts and more potential points for Jimmy in the coming weeks. Next, we have also identified Gardner Minshew. Minshew, the former 6th-round pick, now in his second year, showed he can be crazy efficient last week when going 19 for 20 on his passes. Who knows if he is ready to sustain this kind of efficiency, but I definitely would keep an eye on him. Finally, if you are looking for a deeper find, Tyrod Taylor can be an option. I once had him when he was on the Bills, and he was often steady, if unspectacular. Next up, we have the running backs, and there are a lot of exciting prospects available this week. First, we have veteran Malcolm Brown for the Rams, who had a strong game as the primary runner against Dallas. Next, we have Benny Snell, who also looked strong taking over for James Conner for Pittsburgh on Monday night. James Conner is still probably the starter if healthy, but Snell certainly looked good last week. Also, we have James Robinson from Jacksonville. He looks to be the main guy there going forward. Don't expect him to stick on the waiver wire for long. Also, we have Jerick McKinnon. It is definitely tough to trust his legs or his role in San Francisco, but he did rack up 13.4 points last week. But if you are more of a classic car kind of person, we have the old man Frank Gore. Somehow he is still chugging, and he even looks to be the main guy going forward if Le'Veon Bell misses any time. Alternatively, I'm also watching Jets running back Josh Adams, who could just as easily seize the role and run away with it. Crazier things have happened, but definitely worth keeping an eye on. Now, for the deep sleeper running backs, the hibernators. First up, Brian Hill's role has always been small in Atlanta, but he nevertheless looks to be the primary backup for a running back in Todd Gurley, who has a history of knee issues. So keep an eye on Brian Hill. In a similar situation is Devontae Booker. He looks to be the primary backup to Josh Jacobs in Las Vegas, and could be worth stashing away. Finally, we have La'Mical Perine, the final Jets running back. He did not play in Week 1 because of injury, but he should be back in Week 2. Who is to say he is not the answer to the Jets' temporary running back woes? I mean, he probably isn't, but don't say I didn't tell you so if he is. Just saying. But that's it for running backs. Now let's get into the receiver bunch. First up, this is probably my player of the week I'm looking at. I really like Scotty Miller after watching that Bucs game live last week. Him and Brady definitely have chemistry, in my opinion, that could definitely turn into big numbers if the entire offense gets in sync. Next, we have Mr. Steady receiver Danny Amendola for the Lions. His days of flashy playmaking are over, but he can still be a consistent chain mover for Matt Stafford and fantasy owners. Finally, it is hard to ignore Russell Gage's performance in Atlanta last week, even if he is the obvious third receiver behind Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. You gotta remember, Austin Hooper caught a lot of passes in Atlanta last year, and he is now in Cleveland. That is a lot of targets that Russell Gage can secure for himself if he keeps playing like he did in Week 1. Deeper sleepers to keep your eye on in the receiver department. We have Paris Campbell from the Colts, Cole Beasley from the Bills, Marquez Valdez-Scantling from the Packers, and the Jacksonville dynamic duo of Keenan Cole Sr. and Laviska Shenault Jr. Senior or Junior, who's it going to be? Alright, let's move on to the tight ends. This is a group that has been rather thin in recent years. So who am I looking at after Week 1? Well, first, I'm looking at O.J. Howard out of Tampa Bay. Gronk, trademarked, gets all the press. But it was O.J. Howard that was regularly getting consistently open, and more importantly, consistently not dropping any of Brady's passes. I know Brady doesn't like when you drop his passes. Also, I'm looking at Logan Thomas from Washington. The former Virginia Tech QB has somehow worked his way into the starting tight end role in Washington. He turned that role into 4 catches and a touchdown last week. Stay tuned to see if he can keep it up. Next up, we have the defenses. Now, I am only watching one this week, and this is Washington. Ron Rivera's team was impressive last week in the second half of their victory over Philadelphia. Impressive enough to catch my eye, at least. So, maybe you want to pick them up. And last but certainly not least, the kickers. You know we love kickers on this show. Never underestimate the power of a great kicker in a great offense. This week, I'm watching one kicker. That is Josh Lambo out of Jacksonville, who had 12 points last week. And that is it for Josh's watch list. I am eager to see who everyone else has their eye on, and who will get picked up in the coming days. Team Carr is first in the waiver order this week, since he has the current worst record and lowest score for the week. And actually, on that note, that is about it for this episode. Now you may be saying, Josh, what about predictions? You said you were going to do them every week, man. You already lied about being on Spotify, and now you're lying about doing the predictions. You suck. Well. Slow your roll, everybody. Have no fear, my friends. I am excited to announce that I have decided on a schedule for the Kriner's Kickers podcast going forward. It will be this. Every Tuesday, I will drop an episode in this format right here. We'll review last week and talk about general league news. These will be slightly longer episodes, I'm thinking. On Thursday, there will be shorter episodes focused primarily on predictions for the coming games that weekend. I'm doing it this way because it would be pretty silly in my eyes to predict games before people have a little time to set their lineups. So that is the plan moving forward. Episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But for now, I will bid you all adieu until next time. But not without a quick rundown of the current league standings. In first, never forget 28-3. In second place, Team Terry in third place. the Jordan Love Fan Club. In 4th place, the Mustard Tigers. In 5th place, Kriner's Kickers. That's me. In 6th place, Team Naradka. In 7th place, Team Big Dog. In 8th place, the Houston Astros. In 9th place, Team Egglestein. In 10th place, Team Dolphin Dicks. In 11th place, Team Shake and Baker. And in 12th place, Team Carr. The Jordan Love Fan Club, Team Naradka, and Never Forget 28-3 are all trending up according to ESPN. Meanwhile, ESPN says Team Carr, Dolphin Dicks, and Houston Astros are trending down. And with that, week 1 is in the books. So many surprises already, and we still have 12 more weeks in the fantasy football regular season to go. As always, I'm Josh, and I want to again thank you all for listening to another episode of Kriner's Kickers. Peace out.